Coming up on today's episode, we're showing you how to make our famous holiday sweet potato casserole. It's a huge hit in my in-laws, and it's absolutely delicious. Plus, it's starch solution compatible. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Joey. We are a whole food, vegan cooking channel. We do some DIY, we do some baking. If you like what you hear, please hit that like button. Show us some love. And please think about subscribing and becoming part of the Plant-Based Dads family. Alright, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I'm doing the starch solution. The starch solution is a way of eating where you eat high starch whole foods and low fat whole foods, and you lose weight. It's a comfortable way to eat. You're getting a lot of fiber. You're getting no processed foods. You're not getting saturated fat. You're eating the foods you love. You're feeling full, and I love being able to eat this way and not starving myself like I did on so many other programs. One of the places that you can get a lot of support if you're doing the starch solution is our Facebook group. Here's a picture of it right here, Plant-Based Dads, Starch Solution Enthusiasts. It's a group of over like 3,000 people that are all doing the starch solution. Some are just starting, some are experts at it. I mean, we're sharing food pictures, we're cheering each other on. Some of the stories on there are just absolutely amazing what people have done to improve their health. It's so inspiring. If you haven't checked out the Facebook group yet, again, check it out. Plant-Based Dads, Starch Solution Enthusiasts. Click on the join button. I'll let you in on one of the administrators and you'll be all set to go. It is Monday, November 23rd. It is the week of American Thanksgiving 2020. It's been a crazy November. And I'm going to show you how to make one of our favorite Thanksgiving dishes, sweet potato casserole. Hot dish. This is one of the dishes that we're famous for on Thanksgiving, except this time I've changed it over to be starch solution compatible, so if you're following a starch solution, you can make it at home. These sweet potatoes are absolutely delicious. They're a great addition to Thanksgiving or any of the holiday meals that you're preparing. You're gonna love it. Let's get to the food. We're starting our casserole with 8 cups of washed, peeled sweet potatoes, and you can see here they're cut into large chunks. This will just help them cook evenly when they're in the pot of water. Next, we're starting with a large stock pot, and it's cold. There's no heat on yet. We're going to put the sweet potatoes right into that cold pot. Since I was starting with 8 cups of sweet potatoes, I poured in 16 cups of water. Next, I turned on the heat to high and let it start coming to a boil. Once my potatoes reached a rolling boil, I turned the heat down to medium-low. I want it to still boil, but just kind of simmer. And I let it cook for 15 minutes. I made sure to stir it every so often so nothing sticks. After about 15 minutes, I grabbed a few of the chunks of potatoes and stuck a fork in them. When the fork goes right through like it is here with no resistance, the potatoes are done cooking. And you can turn off the heat. Then I took my potatoes and dumped them into a colander, into a clean sink. And I let them sit here until they were cool enough to handle. Don't rinse them in any way. I just let them sit here until they cool down. While those were cooling, I started on my topping. In a small bowl, I added 1/2 cup of brown sugar or coconut sugar. I'm just using organic brown sugar. 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. 1/3 cup of old-fashioned oats. I used gluten-free oats here. 1/3 cup of oat flour or almond flour. I'm using superfine almond flour here. And I'm using 2 tablespoons of applesauce. I'm going to start mixing all this together until I get a nice crumbly topping that I can spread out evenly over the sweet potatoes once they're into the pan. I set my topping aside and now I'm going to start on the sweet potatoes. I'm going to take my potatoes and pour them into this large glass bowl. And now I'm going to use my potato masher and start mashing them up. You could whip these, but then they tend to get over whipped, so the masher's fine and it went really fast. Now I'm adding 3/4 cup to 1 cup of plant milk. I use 3/4 cup because I don't want it to be too mushy. It came out perfect. Next, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. I'm adding 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Then I'm adding 1/4 cup of applesauce. Make sure the ingredients of your applesauce are just apples and nothing else. Next, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now it's 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm using Ceylon cinnamon. And 1/2 teaspoon of Himalayan salt. And now I'm grounding some fresh nutmeg on. I'm putting on about 1/2 teaspoon. I'm just kind of going to taste here. You can use ground nutmeg. I really like the fresh nutmeg here. And you can see I'm just kind of mixing it all together. I'm starting to fold in the beginning because it's all kind of mushy and it's not going to mix very well right away. As you can see, it starts coming together and here we are. It's ready to go. This is going to make a nice casserole. I've got my glass 9x13 pan here. I'm just going to lay this evenly out to the pan. I am not using using any type of spray oil on this pan. You want some thickness to it, so if it doesn't really, fill up the pan at least halfway, then your pan's too big. Now I'm just going to use the bottom of the spatula to just kind of flatten it all out, make sure it's ready for the topping. And now I'm laying the topping on, just kind of crumbling it on and spreading it out. Depending on the surface area of your pan, you may not have enough topping. I had to go back and make another whole bowl of topping to have enough to cover this. And now I'm just topping it with some whole pecans just for Instagram. You can leave those off. And you can see here, it's ready to go in the oven. Now I'm putting it into a preheated oven at 350 degrees. I'm gonna let it cook for 45 minutes. You'll know when it's done because you'll see the edges bubbling. All right, now it's out and you can see it looks absolutely beautiful, right? The topping's kind of browned a little bit. The coloring is perfection. This looks amazing. All right, it's time to plate it up. So I'm just gonna use my flipper here and I'm gonna cut out a section of it. I'm also gonna scrape the sides down too because I didn't use any oil spray. So I wanna make sure it doesn't stick. And it actually did pretty good for not using oil spray. And I'm gonna dish some up right into a little plate here. And you can see here it looks absolutely amazing. I am ready to dig in. Yeah, baby. And we're ready to taste it. Look who's joined me. Tim's here. All right, so we make this every year, except this year it's a little different because we got rid of the butter and any oil and that stuff, right?
This, I can smell the oat crust, which in desserts and all that, it's a favorite. So
yeah, and sweet potato casserole is almost a dessert, right? Like it's.
Should I pour some port?
Tawny port? No.
Yeah, I had that tawny port from the dressing.
Let's give this a taste and see. I mean, I know it's good.
Okay.
It's delicious.
The sweetness is right on.
Yeah.
This is a little crunch in there, just right. It's really balanced.
Yeah, I think this is really nicely done. Now, the recipe is just to get, the traditional. We didn't put a lot more sugar than we needed to because even though it's starch solution compatible, there's a lot of sugar in it, right? So I didn't want to overdo it. But if you want it sweeter, if you want it to be more dessert-like, you can definitely add more brown. You can add brown sugar to the actual sweet potatoes.
And I think one of the tricks Joey used in this was just a little bit more vanilla, and that'll be in the recipe. But that's why. So instead of adding sugar, we still have that sweetness. It's just nice.
But there's a lot of sugar in it. So so still, even though it's a starch solution recipe, there's we didn't use any oils or any of that stuff. It is a holiday recipe. Like you don't want to eat this whole tray of sweet potatoes. Like it would not be good for you, right? But meat eaters or vegetarians alike, they're all gonna love this.
So don't skip the vanilla.
No,
is what I said. But
so good, guys.
Yep. All right. Really. So good job on this.
Thank you very much. All right, guys. That's our video for today. Sweet potato casserole, and it's absolutely delicious. You have time to make it for Thanksgiving, and it's really simple to make. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Show us some love. What's not to like? Tim's here. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Plant-Based Dads family. Click that bell, and you get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Monday. If it's a DIY, it's on Wednesday. If there's Baking with Tim, that'll be on Saturday. And please leave a comment. What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? Are you going to do an all plant-based meal, or are you gonna go to relatives? If you're going somewhere, bring something with you so you have something to eat that's not laden in fat or dairy or whatever, right? And it is our last video before Thanksgiving.
That is. So from our family to your family, to all the beautiful people that we've had opportunity to meet on Facebook and on YouTube, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Our group, happy Thanksgiving if you're in America. Everywhere else,
good to be grateful.
Happy holidays. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.